Hi, welcome to Give Me the Bible, where God's Word speaks for itself. In this video, I want to talk about the fact that without God, there is no ultimate justification for trusting our own reasoning. There is no ultimate foundation or justification for trusting our minds. Because without God, it means that we came about by random chance, totally unguided, unintelligent, undesigned processes, chemical processes over time, and who knows whether those chemical processes produced minds that work properly or not. There's no way really to know whether our minds have evolved in a proper way or not, and whether our perception of reality is even valid or trustworthy. Charles Darwin seemed to understand this. He wrote the book Origin of Species, and he also wrote a letter to a man named William Graham in 1881. And Graham had written a book called The Creed of Science. And in that book, he argued that natural law in the universe implies purpose. And Graham said that probably the universe did not come about by random chance. Darwin actually wrote him a letter in 1881, and he was intrigued by Graham's book. And even though Darwin said, natural law doesn't really imply purpose, he disagreed with that part, he did agree that perhaps the universe did not come about by chance. He said that Graham had actually expressed Darwin's inward conviction that the universe did not come about by chance. But as soon as Darwin expressed his inward conviction about that, he says something after that calls his own conviction into doubt. This has henceforth been known as Darwin's horrid doubt. You can look this up on Google, type in Darwin's horrid doubt. You can read this for yourself in the letter. But listen to what he says. With me, the horrid doubt always arises whether the convictions of man's mind, which has been developed from the mind of the lower animals, are of any value or at all trustworthy. Would anyone trust in the convictions of a monkey's mind, if there are any convictions in such a mind? So on the surface in this letter, it sounds like he's making fun of his own conviction that perhaps the universe did not come about by chance. Because he says he has that conviction, but then in the very next sentence he says, but who can trust, what good is my conviction if I just came from lower animals, if I just have a brain of a monkey, a mind of a monkey? Well, how do I know whether my mind has trustworthy convictions? Well, he's probably saying this tongue-in-cheek. I don't think that he took this to its logical conclusion and allowed him to, caused him to doubt evolution. But if you do take it to its logical conclusion, this is what evolution leaves you with. The fact that you can't trust your own reasoning, that there's no ultimate foundation for believing that your reasoning in your brain is trustworthy and working properly. Now, of course, people will argue with that, and people will really give you all kinds of different arguments, but here's the irony. The only way to argue against that is to use your own reasoning. And you can't do that. You can't use your own reasoning to prove that your reasoning is trustworthy. It's circular. It's self-defeating. And really, it's kind of a closed, illogical loop that you can't escape when you remove God from your worldview. And I know unbelievers will get angry about this and say, well, Christians, this isn't, you're just kind of playing a word game here, a cute little word game. It's not a game. It's the reality of what happens when you remove God. You have no certainty at all about the trustworthiness of your own mind. Whereas in the godly worldview, in particular the Christian worldview, we have absolute justification for trusting our reasoning. And that's because God, who is a God of reason, has given us our minds, has given us the ability to use logic, to use our minds effectively and accurately, because God made us in His image. Look in Job 38. In Job 38, God confronts Job, and Job has confronted God and basically accused God of wrongdoing. And God challenges him to remember who He is. And remember that He is the Creator. And He asked Job, where were you when I created the world? Where were you when I did X, Y, and Z? And listen to what he says in verse 36, this rhetorical question. He says, Job 38:36, who has put wisdom in the innermost being, or given understanding to the mind? God is the one who has given us wisdom and understanding and the ability to reason with our mind. In Isaiah 1:18, God says, come, let us reason together. He is a God of reason. He is a God of logic. And in Romans chapter 11, verse 33, It says, "Oh, the depths of the riches, both of the wisdom and knowledge of God. How unsearchable are his judgments and unfathomable his ways." God, who is wise, who has a mind to reason, also designed us in his image and gave us a mind. And without God, all we are left with is Darwin's horrid doubt. I sure hope that's helpful. Lord willing, I'll see you in the next video.